Hello, everybody. What's going on? My name is Joseph. I am going to be your low budget reviewer of the day. I will be reviewing Master of Puppets by Metallica. Um, I will just preface this by saying, going forward, when I review albums, I will probably have opinions that some people may or may not agree with. So that's just how it's gonna go. I am human. I have different tastes in music. I also have very similar tastes in music to some people, so you never know, right? Anyways, and also just to preface this, I'm not a musical expert, so I may have opinions that may or may not be musically valid per se, but I will try my best to have done research before I do videos. I will also have done my best to try to break down albums the best I can and just talk about them. So, without further ado, here's my review of Master of Puppets by Metallica. So, Metallica's third album is Master of Puppets. It was released in 1986. I do not have an exact date because I didn't bother to look that up yet, but I can tell you right now, it came out mid 1986. Um, it was competing with other big names at the time. So 1986 for the music industry was really good, especially for metal. Um, you had, of course, Metallica, Master of Puppets. You had Peace Cells, who's by Megadeth, being released that year. Slayer released Rain and Blood, which is one of the best thrash metal albums of all time. It's also one of the shortest albums I've ever listened to, so there's that. Plus, also, on the other end of that spectrum, you had groups like Def Leppard releasing their album Hysteria. Now, I understand Hysteria has a different release date than when I said it was, but I don't know what year Hysteria came out. I know it came out right about that same time. So Metallica had to compete with two other thrash metal giants. They also competed with a lot of different just music acts in general. And you ask me, Master of Puppets does an excellent job pretty much pushing music forward into the next decade. So here's my copy of it. I got it on CD. It's a really good album. I've had Master of Puppets, like the album. I've had it since I was a sophomore in college. I wasn't really introduced to Metallica until my senior year of high school. It was with the Black Album, and then for some reason I jumped to Ride the Lightning, and then after Ride the Lightning, I got to Master of Puppets, and then it just went from there. So, I'm going to start kind of breaking down the album a little bit, just to kind of give my opinions about songs. Overall, I think this album's got one of the best tones that Metallica has ever achieved. Um, so, the album opener is Battery. Battery has probably one of my favorite introductions to a song possible. I mean, Blacken definitely beats Battery, but I love the harmonized acoustic introduction that Battery has. I also like how fast paced the song is without actually being overbearing. It's really, really unique. I love the galloping riffs that Metallica tends to use, especially during the Burton era. Um, so when I refer to different eras, Burton era is basically just the Cliff Burton era. So I'll explain who that is here in just a little bit, because this is important to the story. So, um, Battery is a really interesting song. It's basically about about concerts to get energized for your concert song. Every band has to have a get energized for your concert song, and Metallica has several. Hit the Lights is the other one I can think of off the top of my head. The next song is the album title track, Master of Puppets. It is 8 minutes and 35 seconds, and it is 8 minutes and 35 seconds of just straight up amazing musicianship. The great thing about this song is it features a guitar solo midway through the song from James Hetfield, who has several songs where he did guitar solos. But it's not as common because he is the rhythm guitarist. But his riffage is just beyond amazing. And in this song, it's even better because it's at 212 BPM, for what I remember, and it's downpicked. I am not a guitarist, but I can already tell you that just sounds really difficult. As a drummer, this is a very difficult song to play. I'm not to the level of a lot of these guys, but Lars Ulrich does do a fairly decent job with this song. Although listening to live performances of them, it sounds like Lars tries to speed up all the time, but that's just Lars. That's honestly what happens. Other things I like about this song, I like its structure. I like that it has goes through several different phases basically. Like you get the introduction section, you get introduction part two basically, and then finally the verse riffs, and then the chorus, and then a interlude, soft interlude section that is beautiful with amazing harmonies. Then to a almost breakdown section, and then a guitar solo by Kirk Hammett that is beyond amazing, and then finally back to a different riff that's still the verse riff but done differently, and then finally the main riff, and then back and then to the ending, which also features some really nice background stuff and nice guitar work as well. Next song we have is "The Thing That Should Not Be." This is a 6 minutes and 36 seconds. It's one of the slower songs in this album, tempo wise, but it is definitely one of the heaviest songs Metallica has ever written. This song is, of course, about Cthulhu. It's one of many songs Metallica has about Cthulhu and other literary characters. I actually kind of like this. This is probably one of my favorite songs of this album, only because it doesn't get just a whole lot of attention. It's very heavy, very sludgy, and I love that. I also like its intro with the. I think there's a guitar, but I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong if that's a guitar, but there's a guitar, and then there's also a bass in this one too, that kind of in the beginning, and then but yeah, that's thing that should not be. It's got a really good guitar solo that is kind of a precursor to a lot of different guitar solos that Kirk Hammett did going forward. It is very wah heavy, especially this one and Battery both have a very wah heavy guitar solo, which if you know Kirk Hammett, you know that he likes wah a lot, which I don't blame him. Wah's pretty fun. It can get old real fast if you do it too much, but that's okay. Anyways, so there's that. The next one we got is Welcome Home Sanitarium. Now, this one is based off of a literary work. It's based off of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's also a power ballady sort of song that is very aggressive by the time you get to the end of the song. It does kind of, to me, it kind of encapsulates insanity by the end of it, because the beginning of the song is kind of like at the beginning of the song you kind of get this feeling that the main character's not entirely sane, but it sounds like he's having a really hard time. And then finally, all the anger and all of the insanity comes out by the end of the song, and you can feel the emotion. Also, something else I like about this song, the introduction, it has a piano, which I've loved listening to that low chord, even if it isn't much. It still, as a keyboard player, makes me happy to hear keyboard, even in a band that doesn't typically use keyboards. So, there's that one. Next up, we got Disposable Heroes. Now, Disposable Heroes is definitely a foreshadowing of And Justice for All's overall album tone. This song with it perfectly in Injustice for All. It's very it, conceptually and musically it very much fit on Injustice for All. At least to me, it would. Um, it is also one of those songs that's downpicked at a very ridiculously fast rate. It also changes riffs constantly. It's very unique. It's about 8 minutes and 16 seconds, and it's probably one of James Hetfield's best vocal performances too. I love listening to this one. There's actually a live performance I heard of this one. They debuted this song in '85 during a concert at the Metal Hammer Festival, um, and the live version of the song prior to when it came out in this album is really good. And of course, watching all the members just have a lot of fun during that time. It just makes me wish I was at least 20 years younger, but that's okay. Anyways, next up we got Leper Messiah, which is basically it's basically it's a 5 minute and 40 seconds. 40 seconds. It's the second shortest song in this album, and it's got a lot of really fun lyrical themes in it. Basically, the song is about um, James's disdain for religion in general, mostly for the church, which don't know anything about James Hetfield, his family were a Church of Christian Scientists, which, my personal opinion, and I don't really have the links to back this up yet, but in my personal opinion, Church Christian Scientists are not Christian. They're a cult. There's really no other way to put it. They're just a cult. But anyways, um, basically, Leper Messiah is kind of directed at these people and basically saying that they're basically like calling out their very hypocritical and ridiculous nature. Riff wise, this is one of my favorite riffs to listen to, especially the introduction. Right after Lars counts in, there's that riff that goes dun 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 dun. I love that riff so much. And then I also like the next part of it where it's basically just chugging. Almost sounds like a breakdown, but in the beginning of the song instead of in the middle. Um, Overall, this is a really good song. It's one of the shorter songs in this album. I already said that, but that's all I gotta say about it. Next up, we got Orion. Now, Orion is where I'm gonna enter in the most important part of this album, which is Cliff Burton. Orion's one of the songs that was one of several songs that Cliff Burton had a hand in writing for the band while he was still with them. For those guys who do not know anything about Cliff Burton, he was bassist for Metallica. He was very into classical music, and you can tell it. You can kind of tell it with this song, the way it's structured. It's very much like a classical song. Another one that's like that's called Cthulhu, which was Burton, and which is basically all the members of Metallica, including members that aren't with Metallica. And I'll explain Call of Cthulhu in my review of Ride the Lightning later. But um, Burton passed away after the release of this album in 1986. It was on or 1987. So it's on a cold day in Sweden. They were riding in a bus, um, and Burton and Kirk were playing basically a game of cards, and afterwards to get to figure out who's going to get what bunk, they had to draw. They both drew two cards, and if any one of them got the ace of spades, they would end up in the top bunk. And so Kirk did not draw the ace of spades. It was Burton who did, and Burton ended up later on the bus. So let me start. The bus flipped over. Burton was ejected and killed. Everybody else survived. But yeah, it's very sad what happened, but yeah, Burton was a very legendary bassist. And getting into Burton's work, Orion features some of his best bass work. So Orion has several different sections where Burton plays bass solos. And listening to Burton's bass solos are very interesting because he likes to, his fingers move extremely fast for a bassist. So you can hear him shredding, but he's shredding with his fingers. I'm not sure he uses a pick at all. I haven't seen videos of him using a pick. That doesn't mean he doesn't use it, but for this song, he definitely did not use a pick. That is certainly his fingers. Another great, if you want a great example of his bass work, listen to Anesthesia. It's really good. Other things about the song I like James's riffs. I like the midsection where it's kind of like it sounds like a violin cello piece basically, and then the end of the song is really good. This is actually it's a really good song. It's also 8 minutes and 27 seconds. It's the second longest song on the album, and definitely worth listening to. The final song on this album is Damage Incorporated. This is where my thing about opinions comes in. Personally, this is not my favorite song on this album. I love how it introduces itself. I like the midsection where Burton basically uses lower octaves with distortion and lower octave power chords with distortion to back up James's riffs in the middle of the song. But for the most part, this is one of my least favorite songs on this album. It's not a bad song. It's actually a really good song, but my view with thrash metal is at some point straight up just shredding all the time isn't all that interesting. Although Metallica does a good job pretty much changing their riffs up constantly, so it doesn't get boring, fortunately, but Yeah, this one just isn't my favorite song. Just although I do love the introduction, that one was actually composed by Burton, and it was also one of Burton is also one of my favorite. It's also one of my favorite like bass sections of the song because it's swelling and chords basically. So my overall thoughts of Master of Puppets, really good album, very good songwriting and stuff. It's also a good kind of end to a chapter of Metallica's career and sort of the beginning of another chapter of Metallica's career. It's also the end of an era. To me, it's an end or the start of the end of an era for metal and for rock in general, as this album's overall tone, to me, is very ahead of its time. And it definitely it sticks out in a very good way in this era, in the era of hair metal and of synthesizers. This album is very much ahead of its time. So, thank you for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day and have a nice day out there.